Jamaican. Dressmaker, baker. I want to I respect and love man to all Jamaica, no matter what in the world. One eye, like I want you. No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican.
We're here.
No birthday pass I have to show, cause I am a Jamaican. No matter where in this world I go,
All right. We're getting set a few minutes late, but we're here.
No birthday pass I have to show, cause I am a Jamaican. I have Jamaican walk, them here Jamaican talk, cause I am a Jamaican. Them here Jamaican chat, them say Jamaican back, cause I am a Jamaican. Now everywhere in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. I know I will have
All right, a few minutes but we're here.
Them say, Lord, what a boy can run. That is a Jamaican. When them see the Rasta man from Jamaica, that is a Jamaican. Dressmaker, baker, tailor, shoemaker, market, woman in a donkey cart, rivers and streams, fountains and mountains. In a Jamaica we have it all. Now everywhere in the world I go,
getting set for what I go on. That's what we do.
Cause I have to show, cause I am a Jamaican. When you hear that music I play out the door, it must be Jamaican. When you smell the food I cook when the breeze blow, got to be Jamaican. Hey, beautiful smile, God-fearing people.
I'll cut the budget out of the shot today. Greetings. Welcome to Wataguan. My name is Donovan Simon. I'm the president for the Jamaican Canadian Association here in Calgary, Alberta. And Wataguan is our way of connecting to the community, talking about what we do in the association, what happens in our city, what happens in our country, what happens in Jamaica, what happens in the world. And today we're going to be talking about migration. I have some Jamaicans on the line that are going to share their experience, and we're going to discuss whether it's greener on the other side. But of course, before we get into the meat of Wataguan, we have to do some key features, including the patois phrase or patois word of the day. The last couple of weeks, I keep saying that patois is a really interesting language because we have to double up the words. This week, the word is chaka chaka. So if you're Jamaican and you understand what chaka, well, of course you must understand what chaka chaka means. Put it in the comment section so that those who don't understand our wonderful language patois can get a feel of it, right? So let's make sure we share that. So jump on, put in some comments. But if we were to use chaka chaka in a sentence in Jamaica, we'd have say something like, "I'm not like go a fair place, because it always chaka chaka." Right? Always chaka chaka, no matter what. Monday, Tuesday, every day chaka chaka. Right? So that's the beauty of Jamaican patois. Of course, we also want to share information on what is happening in the community. So in terms of some events, let me tell you what is happening, because we have to share some events information. Coming up, the annual general meeting, right? We have our annual general meeting on October 31st. It's going to be at the Winston Heights Community Center. Starts at 7 p.m. Of course, there's going to be election of officers. You need to be a paid up member in good standing in order to participate in the voting process. You can register online, or you can call us and talk to our membership secretariat, and they will take care of that. We also want to invite you to participate virtually in the Shades of Africa conference. It's being put on by the Center for Newcomers here in Calgary. It's October 5 to 7. You can go on Eventbrite and register for this event. I'm fortunate to be one of the panelists on Tuesday as we talk about the community's response to racism. Right, there are a range of issues that we're going to be discussing at the Shades of Africa conference. So jump on Eventbrite and find out information about that. Of course, we're always sharing information about the Getting Your Affairs in Order webinar. There are two more coming up, one in October 7th, one on October 22nd. To register to attend any of these webinars, you go to myeventsite.ca, Andrea GYAIO, right? It's a really interesting little seminar talking to you about preparing for the inevitable and the things that we all need to put in place in order to make life easier for those who remain after, we have kicked the bucket, as we'd say in Jamaica. I want to share also quickly, we're doing a lot of work on our operating location, our new building, right? Sharing a few pictures. And shortly, a couple of people have been asking, when are we going to get a chance to contribute and help out? We have made a call out to volunteers already, and soon we're going to make a call out to ask for some donations to help us as we go through the renovation process. All things being equal, we should have that building done before the end of the year. And it's going to be one of those days when Watagoan will move into the building, right? And we have a different vibe. All right, so coming soon, hold tight. You should hear a little bit more shortly about how you can contribute to helping to build the operating location for the Jamaican Association here in Calgary. All right, so we're going to get into the discussion. Like I said, though, patois word of the day is really one word and two word, right? Chaka chaka. Yeah, like I said, we tend to do it. Last week I tell you about pian pian. We have a way, but it's the way the patois go. But some of us have chosen, and maybe it's not by choice, that we leave the rock and we take the sojourn elsewhere. And there is sometimes the perception that migration is because it's greener on the other side. This evening I have a couple of guests to help me discuss that issue. Let's bring them on screen. Monsieur Marc Henry out of Montreal.
Bonjour, comment ça va? Ça va bien?
Ça va bien, mon frère. Carla out of Vancouver, British Columbia.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing, Carla? All right.
Yeah, man.
You know what chaka chaka mean?
You don't know.
And of course, my friend Siobhan Fuller, based here in Calgary. Siobhan, how you doing?
Not too bad. I'm just coming in from work. Not too bad at all.
All right,
It's
respect.
Fridays, so we have to celebrate Fridays, right?
So we have to celebrate every day, but we're going to big up the Friday. All right, welcome to Watagoan. Thank you all for joining. Just want to call out for those who are watching. Carla Laird is the president of the Jamaican Cultural Association of British Columbia. Mark is president of the Jamaican Association in Montreal. Shiva, I have a title for you, brethren.
No, so listen, I am the president for my family, but I'm also the president for the Students Association, the African Caribbean Students Association for SATE.
There you go, African Students Association. All right, big up, big up. All right, so what we're going to talk about this evening is this whole topic of migration. We've all moved here to Canada, right? And people have different perspectives of it. And in some cases, the people in Jamaica, right? Mark, I'm going to start with you because I think you have been around here the longest. Talk to us a little bit about how long you have been around, what got you to Canada, right? And especially Quebec.
Well, shamefully, I've been here 36 years. Actually, I came in 1986 at 16 years old, 52. My mother actually came here in 74. She came as a professional seamstress. I'm actually one of 7 siblings. My father died when I was 6 going on 7 years old. And so my mother left, obviously, as many migrants who came here, didn't have papers, worked for a company for a while. Company closed down and pretty much became a domestic worker. I didn't see my mother. I saw my mother once in, I would say, 10 years. And then the call came and then, came to Montreal. So actually, Montreal was actually the center of migration at one time. A lot of Torontonians, if you notice, a lot of them came from Montreal. When they had that French Revolution, a lot of the major businesses closed and many people left and went to Montreal. So now Montreal is very French sort of dominant. but it was very much English back in the up until I would say the 70s, early 70s when the French Revolution. So that's really where how I ended up here in the Belle Province de Quebec.
Province of
By the
Quebec.
way, guys, Montreal is a city within Quebec, the province, in case you didn't know.
All right. So, Carla, you came and you went to what is perceived as the warmest part of Canada.
Yes.
Right, relatively speaking. Right. Talk to us about your journey and this whole migration for you.
So I think I'd probably say I had the smoothest ride to Canada. Most of the hard part was done by my dad. He moved over a decade, moved to Canada, saw opportunity, started in Ontario, decided to travel to BC, fell in love, and just decided that was where he's going to pitch his tent. And, for him, he was the one that laid the foundation for the rest of the family. So when I moved in 2017, actually, this month will make 3 years since I've been living in BC and in Canada altogether. That process, I think a lot of it came from just having that foundation from before. So, at the time when I was moving, I finished law school in Jamaica, had some work experience, saved and all the necessary things I thought was, needed to happen in order for me to move. And then, I decided to just, I'm young, make the best of it, give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? That kind of attitude. But yes, honestly, for me, migration was a big preparation process. And for me, living now here in Canada for some time, it's definitely a character building experience. I mean, we'll get into the details of the opportunities that exist, but I have thoughts when it comes to if it's actually greener on the other.
All right, Siobhan. So you
Yes.
came to cold Calgary like myself. I must tell you my story. I came to Canada in the summer, and the place was green and beautiful. And then I went back to Jamaica and come back in December. But when I left Jamaica, it was 27 degrees above in a cold front, right? Rain and cold. When I came to Calgary, it was minus 20.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So
That's regular.
talk to us about your journey, Siobhan.
So I'm happy that Carla can say that her transition was smooth, and Mark also seemed like he had a good transition as well. I came to Canada straight to Calgary. I wasn't in Toronto before anywhere else. I just came straight to Calgary, right? And I came because my friends influenced me. I'll give you the story. I was in Jamaica. I was doing music. I was a consultant in the HSE field. So I was making money. I was good, right? And I have my house, everything business. And I said, why not compete on a first world scale? So all of my friends have been Toronto say, listen, man, come on, Canada, man. Jamaica money and joke things. I'm saying, all right, let a chance it. So I said, what was the best way to get to Canada? So I said, all right, I'm going to come up and go study, right? And I tell my friend said, where you going? I say, yo, Albert, I'm someone that far from me, I said, can't that far, man, me come check you, right? But one man said, you know what, the day before, one man said, let's do some research and show where Calgary really is. Brethren, when me realize how far me there from Toronto, when we realize how far me there from Toronto, I tell the pilot, say, look here, man, drop me off for Toronto. But anyway, I came to Calgary because I have a cousin here, right? So I came to Calgary, stayed with my cousin's mom, and the transition was a bit, it was okay, but it wasn't to the standard at which I was used to living in Jamaica. And so therefore, unlike Mark, who came at a young age, I was already, grown, and I had my status quo, and I had what I expected. It wasn't like that. So I had to conform to certain things and adjust and to make myself more comfortable. So I was here. No, I make the story short. I was here studying and going to see it, and I said, boy, this thing I need a companion, because I can't stay here by myself. You understand? So I thought, oh, we're going to do this thing, because as Jamaicans, we have that touch, right? We have that touch and that linguistic skill. I said, you know what? I'm going to call about my old girl, and I'm going to start. I said, look, man, I'm not come get you. And she said, what you mean? It's serious? I said, relax, man. I'm gonna just fly down the weekend, married her by the Tuesday or so, come up back. She was here in 15 days. And Canada has been not too bad. Not too bad.
All right, brother.
Right,
So, you use the word adjustment, and it's interesting because all of you have had a different range of time here, and of course, a range of adjustments. Carl, I'm going to start with you because, call to the bar, law school, and all the rest of it. In terms of maybe from a professional sense, first of all, what may be some of the big adjustments you have had to make as you got settled in?
Yeah, and that was where, for me, the whether or not it's greener on the other side actually starts. Because for me, migration starts before you even leave Jamaica. You have to actually have a plan. What are you hoping to achieve based on the profession or the career that you're in, the country that you're going to? So, for instance, this case, Canada. Do you need to start all over? Do they accept the credentials and all the qualifications that you have built up from the time you've been in Jamaica? And as it relates to law, to some extent they do, but you are still required to go back to school and do some additional studying for law. And so for you know, if that's the path you definitely want to take, it means you're going to have to mentally prepare. All right, I need to go back to school, so I need to save for that, or have money put down, because I don't think you can work full time and be a student at the same time, especially if you're on a student permit, right? So it does change things a little bit for you. So with all of that in the equation, for me, I had to readjust how I was going to navigate my transition. And so I had other skill sets. So in this case, communications, and I relied on that as the primary source for my professional journey. And so applied for communications roles, applied for those kinds of jobs, marketed myself in that way, and used my legal experience as an asset in that instance. And so that's really how I ended up twisting my own resume to make sure that I was marketable in a new space. Right. I mean, just today I had a conversation with a gentleman who is from the Caribbean. He has policy, and he's a policy analyst, a business analyst. He has all the qualifications you could possibly want, but they're just not Canadian. And so it makes him, even though he's very qualified and would probably be extremely attractive to a Caribbean employer, it changes the spectrum completely for him now in Canada. Right. And he's saying, I've applied to 174 jobs and nobody wants me. You know, and you have to prepare yourself for that level of rejection too, especially when you move to a new space.
Well, Mark, so you there 3 decades, so you have gone through
Stop aging him.
You still look young enough, man. Don't worry yourself, man. But talk about the transitions you have had to go through, right? And maybe, one of the things I'd like for you to share with the viewers is the whole issue of Francophone versus English, and the whole issue of race and integration overall.
Yeah, so of course, my journey is a lot different. Coming up 16, I left Camperdown and I was in Fort Farm. Left Camperdown, wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah, you have to talk about Camperdown in Bridget.
Big up Camperdown. Obviously, I grew up on the mountain here. One of my dreams, I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to help rid some of the crime in Jamaica. I went through that 1980 election and was really wanted to do something about it. But my mom says, no, you got to come. The thing was culturally, there's a couple of things. One, that, during the time, the old foreign thing was a big thing. You go foreign and come back, it's like you're a big shot. People used to go and come back there. I thought there was money on the ground, and people told me that there was a TV and brand new TV and this. I had this entire idea of coming to paradise. Well, when I got to Canada, while it was obviously a bit of, I saw it as a bit of opportunity for me. I was really, really shocked that it wasn't what I expected. That I actually had people here who, back home, people be hustling, but then people here, especially in Montreal, you can't find a job, they go on welfare. Man, I had a family friend who thought she had a whole lot of money. When I came up through Toronto and I stopped there, she was living in an empty house and she was on welfare. That was a whole culture shock to me. But the biggest culture shock was going to the whole Montreal. When I came here, actually 2 things. One, because when you come here from the Caribbean, they want to put you back. So yeah, my finishing going forward for me, next time I gotta go back one level more. But even worse than that, they wanted to put me in a French school because it's mandatory to go to French school. And I refused to go. Actually, I started the first day in a French school because, my thought is I got a good opportunity coming out of, poverty. I'm going to make myself better. I'm going to go to college, university, which I ended up doing. But they wanted me to go to French school. That would have put me back 2-3 years. I got lucky because my mother was here in 74 and she did a proficiency test and got a blue paper, saved my skin. So that way I was able to go to English school, did my college and my university. So that was the whole culture thing because anyone that comes migrate as a youngster, you mandatory, you have to go to a French school unless you have done English, your education in English or some proficiency test in English.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty tough. But believe it or not, in Montreal, I lived for 20 years, functioning very well, vibrant Jamaican community. Not really needing French. When I started to decide I wanted to go into the professional world, now I realize I finished university, no French, here English, 2 years to go back to school, and then I had to learn the French as I go. So that really was the shock there when coming to this part of the country.
Yeah. Siobhan, since you and I live in Calgary, and everybody seems to make it seem as if Calgary is the coolest place in Canada, which is not true, right?
Oh, if you say so.
Let's talk about.
Wouldn't that be more up where the Indians are?
Well, yeah, First Nations everywhere. You possibly talk about the Northern Territories and stuff like that. But when I came to Canada, everybody said, "Boy, Alberta, icebox, coolest place in Canada." Right? So Siobhan, let's talk about some of that adjustment. Because what I've said to people is that what I learned when I got here is that you have no way of describing temperature to a Jamaican.
All right. So let me add to it, right? I'm going to give you a story. I like telling stories. So just bear with me. I remember going to school. When I came here, right? I never know one named snowshoes. I never know none of them kind of thing. And I remember going out one day in my jacket, right? And my uncle gave me a jacket. And my friend on the train said to me, "Jacket looks nice. That's not gonna do for today." So I said, "What do you mean?" She said to me, "Listen, you have to get something warmer." So she says, "Look on the inside of the jacket, you'll see what rating it is." So I said, "Okay," because I'm not used to that. So I'm looking at the jacket, I say -15. She says, "Listen, that'll do you good in like -12, -15 weather, but today is going to be -21. So you're going to need something thicker." So I was like, it can't get much colder than this. Listen, me man. When I came off the train and held on to the handrail, my hand froze, stuck on. Listen me now. When I did remove my hand was stuck on the handrail. And it's Friday, I don't want to lie on a Friday. I could not believe. Listen me man. I called my mother with as big as I am. I called my mother with tears in my eyes. I said, "Look, your mommy, I'm coming home because the tears are
cool.
That is how cold Calgary is. Listen me now. Last winter, I had a Pathfinder, right? Reliable fan, the SUV. Never shut down one day, man. Never shut down one day. And, you're inside the house, so you start up and you press your button, and Mark, I could press the button. I turn all the button upside down, Mark. So I said, "Boys, about 2 weeks after the weather went down to like a -11, I went down to like a -9. One button click, boom, one start." I said, "No, man, this place is not for human beings, man." Now I'm telling you, man. We'll get sunshine in the morning. We'll get hail in the day. We'll get snow in the night. And by the time you wake up in the morning, it's bright sunshine. Yes, man.
All right, Trevor, we'll struggle with the audio a little bit, but we'll get your story. Because like you said, 4 seasons in the day is pretty normal in Calgary, right? In fact, all across the country. But here's a question, and maybe I'll throw this to you, Carla. Having lived there for a bit, what are some of the pluses in your mind when you compare the move to Canada versus Jamaica?
Right off the bat, opportunities. So if you're looking from an employment standpoint, there are jobs out there. And knowing Jamaicans, we work in 2-3 of them. So you will find job opportunities, right? So there's one. And the salary that you get for these job opportunities are more when you compare it to the same job and how much you'd get paid for it if you're doing it in Jamaica. So we know that for sure. Another aspect for me was safety. So for instance, here in BC, the numbers that they say, are very high on an annual basis for, crime. And, we're really shocked at the 50 people that were murdered this year. And I said, just 50? For true? Like at this was here about? So sometimes I watch the news and I am like, wow, this is the level that we really need to get to. So there's a level of safety, but to the point where sometimes it almost seems like it creates a sense of naivety in the sense that they don't believe that someone could be have ill intent. So there's that piece as well. So, getting used to the concept of a house with no grill. I remember calling my mother and I was like, Mommy, there is no grill here. And Mommy, what you mean no grill in the dead end? What you mean? And she's like, you try to find one grill, put up there. So, so those adjusting to that level of, safety that exists. And then now readjusting when you go back to visit Jamaica, because it's not the same place, right? So there's that aspect as well. And I would even say, even just the level of orderliness that exists in the society. People line up to go on the bus. That is a real thing. Like people don't bomb rush a taxi. That is a real thing. And those are some of the things that are, really, wow, mind-blowing, especially when you just come. And from a BC perspective, it's a very diverse city, province. And, I live in Surrey, so it's even more diverse. And so there's an opportunity for you to showcase where you're from in a very unique way. So for instance, in Jamaica, we lump up everyone that looks black as black, anyone that could possibly be white as white, anybody who could possibly be Indian as Indian, everybody that could possibly be Asian as Asian. But I've come to learn how distinct everybody's ethnicity is and everybody's background and experiences are. And so I do appreciate that part of it as well, that, when somebody sees you, they don't say, hey, you're African. No, they ask you, where are you from? So, they make an effort to know more about you. And I think that helps. That's also a big plus. You get an opportunity to showcase your identity.
Yeah. Mark, you've also had the privilege, I'm going to say, of going through this multicultural experience. How do you relate that and get it across to people in Jamaica to understand that mix, especially in a francophone setting?
Yeah. Well, like again, my journey is a little bit different. I want to echo the sentiment of Kyria that it's like it is a melting pot, and you're just adding another layer to it. That's just language. If you come to Montreal, you see the same experience, you get the same experience you get in Toronto, which is a little bit more, obviously more dominant. You see more blacks there because it's English and it's this sort of the central business of Canada. But you get that melting pot. You just add. Actually, it's almost bragging to me, because that extra element to be able to call home or visit home, and you're out and someone's speaking French, and you can speak French to them. Yeah, so that's very rich that you can. And to echo the sentiment, when I lived in Jamaica, I was like, I'm going to a place where I can get an opportunity. Know what I knew early on before I left, and still getting the news from Jamaica. It's a very corrupt place, and it's who you know, right? To be able to get where you want to know, you have to know people, you have to have links, you have to have contact links. But here, if you work hard enough, and look, we have our challenge, and we can all testify to that, the challenge of race and equity where that is concerned. But in general, if you come here and you're able to work hard, and like Kyria says, 2-3 jobs, like myself, everyone has that. you can really get what you want. And you don't have to feel that you're fighting against corruption or the quote unquote links, although there are other challenges. So, it's kind of that melting pot idea, but we have that language to go with it, and it's kind of a rich thing that we can actually brag about, talk about. So that experience with me, and people get, when I go home and I tell people that, it's French. When I start speaking a little bit, they get excited, want me to teach them.
Yeah. So I mean, for all of us who leave the rock, we tend to miss stuff. Siobhan, we say green on the side, other side in certain ways. But what are things that you miss having made the leap and move overseas?
I miss the culture, especially here in Calgary. There's not much richness in culture here as would like it to be. And I would say that this is why the associations are so
What do you mean?
important.
Hold on, make sure we're clear about it. What do you mean? Pasa?
No, man. No. All right. So, for example, if I wanted to go and get some cowhead, I couldn't get the cowhead readily as I would want.
Cowhead.
Yes, man. You don't know the cowhead. And if I wanted a piece of Trenton, right? I couldn't get the Trenton without the I'd have to get the one at Superstore, which they cut off all the good parts. You know what I mean? So I miss the richness in culture. I miss passing by and see a jerk pan. I miss the beach. There are certain things that you won't get here in Canada. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest with you. I miss the status quo, and I'll tell you why. I can understand that Canada equates and creates a platform where anyone can basically achieve, and that's a good thing. But also, I wish that when we transition from Jamaica, that we will be seen on the same level as we were in Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, if I am a level 5 manager in Jamaica, it doesn't mean that if I come to Canada, I want to automatically be recognized as a level 5 manager or as a lawyer called to the bar. But I'm saying that I think that I miss the fact that we're not valued equally.
Yeah, no doubt.
Status quo. I miss that aspect of it. And Carla was saying about opportunities. We do not share the same opportunities as other Canadians. We do not. However, because we're Jamaicans, we take it for granted that, oh no man, we can do it. It's just that we have it within us to survive wherever we are, but we do not have the same opportunities that other people have. And so therefore, as Kyla was saying, we work 2 or 3 jobs and we have to do it. So Jamaicans have a mentality of getting it done, or we do not have the same opportunities. However, as I said, the greener part is that Canada gives you a level platform on which to operate.
Yeah, one of the things maybe I'll echo there that I learned when I came to Calgary, and I've been fortunate to kind of go around to different cities in Calgary or Canada, is the gap between rich and poor isn't as stark as it is when you go back to Jamaica, right?
Right.
You could be walking through or driving or living in an area which is considered depressed, and you're like, this them call depressed, them wants to depressed. Right?
I think it's a concerted effort from the government though, and the Canadian system. I think that they even when you look at their EI program and that kind of stuff, the government has put things in place to create a higher line of a higher poverty line, and so to speak. Is dirt, is 0, is minus 100. In Canada, the poverty line is like, say, 50. You know what I mean? If you're gonna scale it. So in Canada, an average person would say, "Oh man, I'm not doing too well, but can you make your rent?" Yeah, I can pay my rent. I can go on EI, blah blah. I can do this. They're poor, but they're taking out a car tomorrow morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jamaica, it's just facts. In Jamaica, to take out a car and make that payment, you have to be working some good money. You know what I mean? And so Canada offers you a better lifestyle based upon the system itself, not the but the system itself gives you those opportunities. But if you were to go on an interview equally and sit down, probably you wouldn't even get that chance. As Carla said, she put out 164 resumes.
I know she, I know what she, but somebody should know.
Somebody should know.
Not to cut
I
it
can
Esteban,
talk.
but
I
a
can
quick
talk.
comment that them also, that system also put a lot of people in debt. I'm a financial advisor, so.
I was just gonna say that.
Sorry, I cut you.
But
That's really what it is.
let me just say though, is that a bad thing?
It depends on how you use it.
Good debt and bad debt, but we're not gonna go down the road. Hold on. We're not gonna go down the debt road because, on the 16th, we're going to talk about financial education. Here are a couple of questions before we get into the wrap up. What are some of the key messages that we need to get across to people who are thinking about migrating from Jamaica to Canada?
Who first?
You can go first, Carla.
All right. I think to even answer the question as to whether or not it's greener on the other side, it depends. But I think for me, that answer of greener is subjective. It also depends on if you are willing to water the other side. So it's greener if you water it, right? So you have to look at the fact that for everybody, greener is subjective. So it depends on what your situation was like in Jamaica before you left, right? You're looking at your profession, the career path that you were planning or already on at the time when you leave. It also looks at the specific country that you're considering or targeting as the place that you want to migrate to. What their rules are, what their policies are, how they treat the job or the profession that you are already pursuing. It also requires you to do research about where you're going. How much money do I need to survive? Because especially if you're saying you're going to go and start getting and looking for a job, it doesn't happen overnight. Some people have to go months before they get theirs. I started job hunting before I got to Canada. So that way I was able to hear what I needed to do so that by the time I reach there, I can be more aggressive in my employment pursuit. You need to actually have a plan. And when you get that plan, you need to now determine, can I stick to it when you get there? Because as we discussed before, there's so many distractions. And when you get a credit card, the debt starts coming and the opportunities come and that kind of thing, right? So it is greener on the other side if you water it. And that's honestly how I feel. You have an opportunity to be in a different country, to utilize the resources that are there because there are more resources. There are more advanced systems. The quality of life is generally better. So when you get that opportunity, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit down and forget that, you need to work hard for make life, period? Or you just going to be like, well, I can survive off of the EI. I can survive off of the little resources what the government give me. I can go buy 50 car and live in a one rent place and don't make nothing out of what the opportunity that exists. So it's greener if you water it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mark, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say that, and I know we're gonna wrap up. That first of all, I miss Jamaica. Like, I feel so empty at times. I go home every single year for the last 23, 24 years. I go home every year. It's the only kind of fix that I could get. I miss the culture. I miss the language most of all, and I miss the smell. What my advice would be, and I've seen it over my 36 years, I would recommend to Jamaican, like Kara says, piggybacking. It's not always green on the other side. And I've seen it with my own eyes. If you are in a position where you can afford a comfortable living, I don't recommend people do it. That's just me. I've seen, including my niece, who was here, chartered accountant, did her university degree here, couldn't find a job in the level, went back to Jamaica, doing extremely well. I have friends who are in the medical profession now. I have friends, Dr. Delahaye, who was one of the minister of health, whatever he is. He would never come here because he's doing extremely well. So, and even one woman I knew who was doing extremely well, decided to give up what she had to come to Canada and ended up going back. So I would say to anyone thinking about coming, it's a great place, great opportunity, but don't let the idea of what you see thwart your plan. As Kerry said, have a plan. If you're in a better situation where you can comfortably live in a safe area and you have the culture, no come here.
Siobhan, why you don't say that?
Mark, I agree.
Mark.
Mark, I agree with you 100%. Um, in hindsight, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have come to Canada, in all honesty, because I have not lost anything. I have not lost anything. I still have everything that I used to have back home. I still have everything, right? I actually drive the same exact car I used to drive back home, you know. But I think that if you're a young person and you're looking to build, Canada is the place for you.
Yeah.
So if you're young, not old like me, because when I come to Canada, I am 30 something. When me move come to Canada, I have business and house and everything already. If you're a young person looking to build, Canada is the place for you, right? But one thing I'd have to say is that my advice is that you must work on your soft skills, right? It is important to work on soft skills as young people. Another thing is that, and it's gonna sound ridiculous, but work on your resume. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about on paper. Work on your resume as in your professional portfolio. Reason being, a lot of these young people use Instagram and Facebook to kill opportunities. So therefore, work on your resume outside of the paper. You understand what I mean?
Makes sense.
That's my right.
Makes sense. All right, listen, we could do this and continue the conversation for a while, right?
Next
But
week
we have to
again?
make a next week we're going to do a different conversation. Next week we're actually going to talk to a couple of Jamaicans who have gone back to Jamaica, having migrated, and like you say, they have found that was the better option, right?
Trust me.
But we have got to take a pause. Carla from BC, Mark, Montreal, Siobhan out of Calgary. Lady, gentlemen, thank you for joining Wataguan. It was a pleasure.
Let me just say quickly, Don, what you're doing is fantastic, connecting all our communities. Again, the
Amazing.
diaspora thing to talk to Jamaicans right across the country. And guys, let's help support over watching out there. Share this platform.
Yes.
Build it, let it become big. Big up Donovan at the place. You're doing bless up. You understand?
Respect, guys. Respect.
Yeah, man.
All right.
My final words, Donovan. I really appreciate what you're doing, and you're an active president. You're not one of them people who you can say, oh yeah, man, I know him facing him. You're an active president. And the other thing is that I'd like to big up the CBC, the Calgary Black Chambers.
Yeah.
They have been doing wonders for me. And John Cornish, Clarence Winter.
Yeah, man. Kenny, Chucks, all the way.
The entire thing. And I'd like to say that, like Chi, when you are connected on a professional level and you can bring fruit to the table, it is amazing. And I'll just close with this. A friend of mine, he's the chairman for International Partnership at SEAT, Admir Cheloka. He said to me, Siobhan, get a seat at the table. That's the only way to do what you want to do. Get a seat at the table. And so therefore, Donovan, you have a seat at the table. You are giving us a seat at the table. And I want to say, I thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. Glad I'm able to serve.
But it's Friday night now, so you know what I mean, right?
Pan chicken.
What you say, Carla?
Pan chicken.
Pan chicken?
Yeah.
My girl, like a more girl about pan chicken.
My girl on a back road.
No, well, it's not the pan chicken time. It's Jay Ray and his nephew.
Okay.
I tell you. Anyway, guys, take it easy. All right.
Take it easy.
God bless. Guys, take care. Nice to meet you, man. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Another great episode of Wataguan. But we're going to do it again, right? Next week, we're going to be talking about sweet Jamaica, why some people stay on the rock. And we're going to have Nelson English Johnson and Edison Phillip, both who had a chance to live overseas, but went back to Jamaica because they saw that as a better opportunity. On October 16th, we're going to talk about financial education, never too late. And we're going to have Delores Mackenzie on the show with us, talking about why this is important for our community. And then on October 23, we're going to talk about leadership in the community. What does it take, right? All part of Wataguan. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, check us out on Instagram, check out our website. Like I said early in the show, shortly we're going to launch a program to help you support us as we build our operating location. We're making really good progress. All things being equal, we should have that place up and ready by December of this year. Until next time, this is Donovan saying take care. And of course, we have to leave with a Buju Banter, right? Take care. Stay safe. All right.
No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. No birth papers I have to show, 'cause I am a Jamaican. No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican.